Welcome back to Restore to Explore, and today I'm going to show you guys how you can massively upgrade your steering in any old car, but we're going to be doing it on this HX Holden. I'm in the middle of a build series on this HX 1-tonner. It's got a 5-litre VN Commodore engine in it, and I'm super excited to get this thing on the road, but I've just put the steering column in, and there's a task I wanted to knock out with the steering box before I go any further. And this is what it is. Steering coupling, steering bush, whatever you want to call it. These are a big area of play in old steering systems, and even in newer cars than this, they get flogged out and they're really overlooked. People go ahead and replace tie rod ends and things like that, and you can get so much play in the steering bush from where your steering shaft connects to the steering box. So I'm going to show you guys what it takes to pull it apart on this particular car here, how we change it over, and the benefits that it's going to have. So if you've got an old Holden like me here, regardless of if it's got power steering or it's not, you've got your steering shaft which comes down and then it goes into the steering box. Now before it goes into the steering box, you've got this here, and that's where the coupling mounts. Now the purpose of this bush is to take vibration out of that goes through the road, through your steering system, up into your steering wheel. If this was just metal all the way through, you'd get lots of vibration and it would kind of get pretty hard on your arms. Now, from factory, these come with a bit of a funny material, but a lot of other cars have just a rubber one. And I'm upgrading this to a Nolithane component. For different applications, such as drifting and off-road, some people actually use a aluminium spacer. You will get lots of vibration with that though. But Nolithane's a good in between, where it won't wear out as easily, but it's still going to be nice and firm. And if you do have an old one in there, chances are there's a lot of play. So when you steer one way, you're going to have to overcompensate, and you've got that bit of play. So this can drastically help that. So I've pulled off this part here off the steering box. There's a bolt that goes all the way through. You have to take that out because there's a notch, and then this just slides off. And if it doesn't just slide off, like mine didn't, this is part of a ball joint kit that I've got. And I slid this over the end, tightened that up, and it popped it straight off. We are doing this on old Holden, such as this one here, although this does apply for a couple of different kits. I'm using a Super Pro kit, so it comes with the bush itself, Nolithane, and it also comes with new pins for the fork, so I have to replace those, and then new nuts, bolts, and washers as well. Now, with this old one here, these pins don't have nuts like the new ones do. The new ones are threaded, as you'll see there. These old ones are pressed at the back here. Now, it recommends to drill those out, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a grinder and just run it flat alongside with that, and I'll be able to take the bit that's been punched off, and then this pin should just fall straight out. But if you even want to look at this, just the way that these are pressed in, they've actually got movement in those pins already, just from how they're mounted. These new ones have got backing washers and nylock nuts, so they're going to be firmly pressed up against that there. So already that's going to drastically improve. These would be wobbling around, and that would already give you steering play, even if your bush was fine. Alright, now I've got both of those old pins out. I'll be able to install the new ones, tighten them down with the nylock nuts, put the bushing on, and then put this back on the steering box, reassemble it all, tighten it all down, and we should be good to go. So to be able to get enough room to slip this off, what I did is I just unbolted the steering box, 3 16mm bolts, which you can get to from in the wheel arch. So I unbolted that, I put one back in just to hold it while I bolt this in, just so I could get enough room, because there wasn't enough room just in the steering shaft to push it back far enough. So I'll need to undo that now. I'll be able to put this into its correct spot, and then I'll be able to put this bolt back in afterwards, after I've got everything lined up and where it needs to go. Alright, so I'll do that now. So you'll see the new Northane bush in there. All right, so I've got that new bush in there and it's all back together, and that was a super quick job. All up, probably took me about 10-15 minutes. So one of the reasons that I would go to something like this first is between the steering wheel and the steering box, anything that's loose there is gonna affect the overall performance of your steering. If you've got a bad tie rod somewhere in the system, something to do with that kind of stuff, ball joints, bushes at each end, that might affect a particular part, but anything here is going to affect the whole thing, because it's going to throw off the feel and the play that you've got in the actual steering wheel. So getting the steering bush, it's cheap, it's pretty quick, easy, it's a good thing to do. If you don't want to go and overhaul all your steering, you're going to get a big improvement if you've got lots of play just from doing that bush. So that's all for this video, guys. Hope this was useful. Check out the rest of the build videos on this HX tonner by clicking up here, and I'll see you guys next time on Restore to Explore.